This episode is sponsored by Postalitics. If you're doing any type of marketing for your startup today, you're probably missing out on one of the most underrated marketing channels there is to grow your business, direct mail marketing. Finding ways to stand out and get attention for your prospects has never been harder. Business people receive over 120 emails per day. The average Gmail account contains over 8,000 messages. With Postalytics, start standing out by delivering personalized messages directly into the hands of your audience to form a deeper impression than email alone. The best part is you can integrate with your CRM to track, trace, and measure the impact of every dollar you spend. So whether you're an agency or startup founder and looking to build out your next direct mail marketing campaign, visit postalytics.com for a free account and start sending direct mail today. If you'd like to sponsor the SaaS District podcast or recommend any guests that you think would be valuable to be on the show, visit horizoncapital.com/SaaS-podcast today. Thanks again, folks. Hello, everyone. This is your host, Akil Jabbar, and welcome back to another episode of SaaS District. In today's episode, we'll be talking about building an innovative SaaS company and being a leader in the energy industry. Today, we have our guest, Shiva Rajagopalan, joining us. Shiva is the CEO of Seven Lake Technologies, an innovative digital landscape for the oil and gas production. With over 20 years of experience in creating software solutions, he is recognized as an industry thought leader, an innovator, and a humanist. Shiva's passion lies with creating tools that helps people first and foremost. For him, it's not just business. It's all about improving people's work and life balance. So welcome, Shiva. Super excited to have you on SaaS District Show today.
Thanks, Akil.
So for those who don't know, can you just tell us a little bit, what's your background? What's your past ventures? I know you worked at Chevron for a bit, up until you guys raised a venture round and launched your platform back in 2009. Is that correct?
We launched our a platform in 2016, but the company was started in 2009. We started out more as a consulting business, but then 2016 is when we actually came out with our product called JOYN. And 2015 is when we raised our Series A for around 20 million. Yeah.
Nice. And what was kind of that transition? So you were working just like me. So maybe if people don't listening in, I was also a petroleum engineer before I got into tech. Worked in the oil and gas space in Alberta. I know how that industry works. Work as operations and refinery, and then also in the kind of the office with the headquarters. How did you make that transition? What were you doing at Chevron, and how did you get into that kind of your own kind of consultancy?
Yeah, it's actually such a coincidence because we just signed up a client in Alberta, an operator called Tyne Energy. So pretty excited to work with them. The way that I got into this business was because of Chevron experience. I was actually fortunate to be spending time in the field with operations, and I myself was a data junkie working out of a trailer inside the field. So it was just fascinating watching ops guys do their deal and me providing necessary data for them to be able to run their business. So that's how I got really passionate about this business. And in 2009, I decided, I basically thought if I could do this for Chevron, maybe I could do it for a larger audience. And that's when I started Seven Lakes.
Super cool. Yeah, I remember working in the fields as well. I used to work with, I think, ConocoPhillips, driving around in my truck in the little towns and checking out the field. So yeah, good times back then. And where are you guys in terms of size today? Team size, user growth, MRR, and have you guys raised any capital beyond that? I think you said $20 million in Series A to 2015.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have not raised a Series B or a next round yet. We are planning to do that in the upcoming future. As far as size is concerned, we've got very large customers now using JOYN. Includes companies like ExxonMobil, ConocoPhillips, the one that you mentioned, and Pioneer Natural Resources, and so on. So we've got very large companies using the platform now, thousands and thousands of users. And 100 people company. We've been staying steady there over the last couple of years, but now oil and gas is picking up steam again in 2021. The price of oil has gone up to $72 a barrel now, WTI prices. So we feel like the companies or the operators are going to open up their wallet and start spending. So it's just a matter of time. We'll also pick up the steam there. But yeah, that's where we are as far as size and growth is concerned. Yeah.
So what was the kind of that? So you said you were working in the field. You were a data junkie. You kind of saw things happening live. What was the clear opportunity that you saw in the market though, and the problem? Maybe like after you were consulting, right? You went into consulting. You knew that there need to be this solved for these operators in the oil and gas field, from the idea generation to launching JOYN. And at the time, did you have a tech background, or do you have like a CTO partner at the time? How did you kind of make that transition to SaaS?
Yeah, so I was the techie. So I was actually techie, but I was, passionate about what technology I was delivering to the end users. So that's where I kind of, was fortunate to marry best of both worlds. While at Chevron, my end users were people in the field, and so I'm to this day, even today, I'm very passionate about the people that are actually in the field doing all the heavy lifting. That's where our most of the user base is. That's where we plan to grow into other verticals as well.
Okay. And just thinking, like selling a SaaS solution, it's a new market, right? Like I know myself, even like the energy companies and oil and gas enterprise, like that, there has to be a huge challenge there, because I think they're probably the slowest industry to adapt changes in new technologies. Like you can look at every, I don't know, maybe you know better, but there could be other industries that are slower. But how are you and your team kind of able to onboard those customers and convince the market that they needed your unique SaaS solution and adopt technology?
Yeah, good question, Akhil. Not an easy job for sure. But I'll say oil and gas, as you know, is a very cyclical market, right? When things are booming, it is very easy to actually convince people that they need technology to sustain that boom. Mm-hmm. When things go bad, they go into an ostrich mode, right? They don't want to talk to vendors. But that's just the beast of this industry. That's just how it works. And I've been doing this for long enough to know that you have to adapt and, change accordingly. Overall, though, yes, they are laggers, but the opportunity is still there because the technology is so old, right? So that's the opportunity to do something there and bring it up to where other industries are.
And how do you kind of make that conviction? Or, so, I know there's like an old boys club kind of thinking where the guys are a lot older. They don't want to change. They're kind of resistant to change. What's kind of your process of, getting through to them or breaking kind of that mentality, even when things are good or bad, right? There's still a solution. There's still, ways to optimize. You're still saving them money and time. What's your process there?
Yeah, the process there is fairly simple and straightforward. Which other SaaS companies also do, other industries also do. What we do, our software is actually mobile first, field user first, right? It's field centric. So we say, hey guys, don't have to worry about a long project here. Just give us a couple of weeks to show how this is going to improve the lives of your operators in the field, right? Okay. They take a leap of faith. And give us a couple of weeks to work with the field users. And once that 2 weeks is elapsed, typically the feedback from the field up to the management has been always, extraordinary. They say that, look, I'm able to go back home sooner. I can take my kids to the ball game. I don't have to open up my laptop at the end of the day and start punching in numbers. I'm done with my work. So our fans are the field users, and that's kind of how we end up getting opportunities.
So they're the ones that are selling management. That's smart. Is it just is that at that point, is it a proof of concept, or is it like a free trial? It's like, hey, there's no charge. Let me just get out there. I'll show you guys for 2 weeks on my own cost and dime. And if it works, we'll go from there.
Yeah, it's a free trial. Yeah, it's a free try and buy. Yeah.
Cool. Love it. And how do you guys handle the data security side, right? So many energy companies, especially, this market, you have to adhere to so many international standards and different compliance rules. How are you guys managing that? Or are you guys only focused in the US? Or I said Canada as well, right?
Yeah, we have US, Canada, Argentina. These are where the operations are. But overall, Akhil, we use AWS technology. AWS, everything that we use is on AWS, and they have services that, and best practices around data security that we follow. So, for example, multi-tenancy, right?
Right.
There's a clear architecture that they want people like us to leverage and use. So that's kind of what we do, and we've had no issues so far around these kind of things. Yeah.
Okay. And then in terms of marketing, in terms of marketing growth, you've obviously hit a decent, record of growth or kind of track record if you were able to raise your Series A and, raise $20 million. What channels would you say have been, the most successful for you guys so far when promoting your solution and onboarding more clients?
Yeah, interestingly, it's always, it's been so far digital marketing, right? Getting the word out, campaigns, email campaigns, following up with inside sale calls, and then getting an interest from customers, and then taking them through a free trial, and then eventually a buy, right? So that's been the channel so far. Believe it or not, even Exxon came in as an inbound request. We didn't have to go in and knock on their doors. Even if we had to, we wouldn't know where to knock on, right? Because it's so big. So
yeah, absolutely. So inbound, do you know kind of specifically where that worked? Was that search, kind of SEO? Was that social media? Where were you guys? Were you guys running ad campaigns?
SEO, Google search, that kind of stuff. We do some AdWords, but the standard stuff, yeah.
Okay. In terms of scale, how are you guys optimizing the funnel right now for searching for channel product fit? Anything else you guys are doing right now?
Yeah, primarily our go-to-market strategy has been, this industry, the current technology providers have not innovated in the last 20, 25 years. So that's where we're going in and saying, look, guys, if you actually use the latest and greatest technology that is available out there, like the ones that are available in AWS, etc., you can save your operations significant cost, right? Time, money, efficiency gains, etc. So that's been our strategy. We go after companies that are using these legacy techs.
Got it. And then have you guys tested, different marketing channels that you would say hasn't worked specifically for your ideal climate, ICP or ideal customer profile?
Of course, we segment our market into, three company types, the large guys, and then you have the mid-sized guys, and then you have the small guys. And the large has super majors too, and then you have the mid majors, and then then you have the mid-market segment, and then you have the small guys. So the large super majors are companies like Exxon and Conocos of the world, right? So there is a different strategy to attack different segments of the market. So we use account-based marketing to target the big guys, the top 25, top 30 accounts. And then we use a more traditional, SaaS technique of digital marketing to go after the other guys. So typically the big guys, when one of them sign up, then, they're involved in some sort of a consortium. They talk amongst themselves, and that's how the word gets out. They sometimes contact us. They're active in some other channels. for example, Darcy Partners, and then they find out about us, and then they reach out to us. So that's kind of how it's been always working.
And has there anything, have you tried, some different experimentation that you say didn't work? Like, I don't know, trade shows? Is there any marketing channels you've tried and just failed miserably?
Oh yeah. Always, right? We do our own event in Vegas every year. Last year was a wash because of COVID, but this year we're going to restart it again. But that's worked for us. But typical, trade shows really don't, because what happens is from a company perspective, they're sending people that are fairly junior to these trade shows, right?
That's true. I remember that. They said me. Yeah.
Yeah. So the access to the decision makers are not there at the trade shows, and so it's a lot of money wasted if you actually spend the money to go to all these trade shows. Yeah.
Mm. That's a good point, because I remember that. I always wondered why they'd send all the the young guys to go to the trade shows and have fun, but they would never go. I think they just get tired of it. Like, they know it's a sales pitch and they don't want to get pitched, right?
Yeah, and then the funny thing is, when the young guys go back with an idea, they say, "Well, you don't know anything."
Exactly. Yeah, we get all excited. We're like, "Hey, look what I learned." They're like, "No, you don't know what you're talking about." Cool. What's the level of kind of get deeper into the product, the customization for your solution? I mean, it's an infrastructure. You have the software integration, but it also seems to be like you have to create specifics for each company's requirements, or is it pretty kind of standard?
We don't really necessarily create anything for one specific customer. That's more the consulting world that we were involved before 2015. So even if there are requirements that are only specific to one customer, depending on their level of interest in that particular feature, we would build that in and then turn a flag for just that particular tenant. Right. But that's how it's always been working. But typically we do product development that actually fits majority of our customer base. And that's how the prioritization happens.
Got it. And when it comes to pricing, what's kind of how do you guys customize your pricing factor? Is it based on number of users that use it, or do you have another kind of model to build that out?
Yeah, actually, another kind of model. We started out with the user base, but because this industry is volatile, right? We went into number of wells plus a combination of number of wells plus barrels of oil equivalent production per day. So why we did that is because in 2020, when oil went down to negative territory, they took production off, right? So they did not sell it anymore because they had to literally pay somebody to take the oil out of their tanks, right? So why, so we want to give them credit. So if they're not really using the system, why are they paying, right? So that's why it's a combination of the well count plus the BOEPD, which is barrels of oil equivalent per day.
Love it. So you went to actually the usage model, I guess similar to like AWS, right? Because I think that's kind of the way to go, right? Not per user, because now you have 10 people using it. Price of oil is going down. We're producing less. Why? And then now their mind is, why am I paying this for 10 people when it's not tied to the actual profits we're generating? So in this case, you can justify it as an OpEx because you can tie it to, okay, this is a percentage of my overall kind of cost. So smart.
Yeah, exactly. Just to kind of add to that, oil and gas accounting revolves around the well. So everything gets tied back to the well, right? So that's why it's easier for them to, tell their non-op partners, hey, look, for this particular well, we're spending, this kind of money per month to keep it working, right? Which includes the software licensing costs also. So, yeah.
Smart. So, that's how deep you have to go, right? People think like this is the pricing. Like you have to go and like, how are the accountants looking at it, right? What's the accounting department factoring this in? And that's how you should price it. Smart. So, obviously you're a leader in this space, right? We've seen most of these founders we've had in the past are measuring their success in terms of customer experience, maybe MRR, growth, results. What would you say is the basis, for you as a SaaS leader? What makes that SaaS leader DNA?
Yeah, we had a customer advisory meeting last month, wherein one of our customers um, started talking about our customer experience, their customer experience, and it was funny. Everybody started chiming in about the same thing, and so that is the number one differentiator as far as they're concerned. Because for them, they're shrinking, right? Because of the market, and they're laying off people, and they don't have the number of resources that they once had, right, to keep systems up and running and the data quality good and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So they rely quite a bit on the vendors now, right? And according to them, we are the best vendors that they work with, right? That allow for them to do all of that without having to hire additional people. So customer experience has always been a forefront, and it's actually paying off. We're getting good references and stuff like that. Yeah.
I imagine that helps with your retention and kind of how long they stay aboard, regardless of the industry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, do you have any tips for maybe other founders who are in this market? Maybe they're in the SaaS and they want to tackle this market, right? They haven't tackled oil and gas, but they have maybe a new product or solution, and they want to convince the old boys. You mentioned one way, going through the people who report to and who are going to be their sales champions. Any other way you can kind of give any tips or any suggestions?
My ultimate suggestion would be make sure you're passionate about what you're building, and you're passionate about the persona that you're building the product for. So if that particular persona enjoys the product, you will invariably get a chance to sell, right? So that will be my recommendation. Don't go after the execs, because for them the proof is in the pudding. They're not going to do you a favor, especially in this kind of market, right? So always look to improve efficiency somehow, somewhere, and that's your way in.
Love it. If you were starting a new solution today, Shiva, let's say for the oil and gas industry, right? You're starting all over. What are some opportunities that you see and you would maybe tackle, and you see a big opportunity in right now? Maybe different than when you started, over 10 years ago.
In oil and gas?
Yeah.
In oil and gas, obviously, if you look at the market today, with the new Biden administration, bank loans, finances, capital has dried up, right? So pretty much, if you look at drilling, back in the day, it was drill, baby, drill, right? Now it's more like this. I have to have enough cash flow generated as an operator to be financing my own drilling program, right? Does that make sense? So it's more about maintaining their production levels is what they're after. And therefore, anything to do with production optimization, efficiency gains around operations is what they're looking to do. So if you are interested in getting into the space, that is the right space to be in.
Got it. So it's not in the going after the big capex budgets, the $1 billion. Those are not being spent anymore. Now it's really about okay, how do we optimize our cash flow, what we have, and grow with what we have. Yeah, makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I would say imagine like a lot of data. Like you said, you're a data a guy. I imagine there's kind of opportunities there, right? Like especially I know AI and a lot of these technologies being built. Are you guys building anything like that with them? And do you see anything going that route with the companies you're working with?
Yeah. We do have a couple of AI pieces in our software. One is to allow for the operators to seamlessly enter their data. So they can actually take a picture of something and the data will flow in. They don't even have to type it in, right? So it saves them some time. The other one, so that's called computer vision technology, right? Which is AI. The other one is more route optimization. So, the operators in the field have a optimized route, which allows them to go after the assets that are the highest value for the company. right? So, it's called route optimization. And that also uses, AI techniques, for us to be able to optimize them. But all of that optimization happens by a lot of data variables, not just production of the well, but there's lots and lots of data variables that we take into account.
Like what? Like weather, temperature.
Actually, yeah. Weather, temperature. Your skill set, experience of the person.
Wow.
Where they are from the location, proximity wise. Because drive time matters, right? So if there's another operator that is closer by that is similar skilled and experienced, etc., we want to get them to the location faster. So, lots and lots of variables. You wouldn't believe. In some areas, there are ranches, where oil fields are, right? In South Texas, for example. So you have to enter through one gate and exit to another gate. These are all constraints that we have to use in order to optimize their routes.
Right. And you would never know that unless you're in the field, at live location. You can't do this from a computer, outside in the middle of nowhere, right? So this is where, being with your customers really matters, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to be with them. I mean, fortunately, we've had a chance to go to a lot of these different places and see it firsthand, and see their pain firsthand, right?
Exactly.
So that's how we sympathize with them even more. Yeah.
Nice. So Shiva, I want to talk about your management structure, right? You have over 100 team members. You've been, for a while managing a pretty significant team. Do you have a kind of recurrence cadence with your team interactions, coaching, strategy, feedback, and do you have maybe a framework you could share on how you make harder decisions while maintaining still, motivation and consistency across the team?
Yeah, every year we have some goals, right, that we put together. And at the beginning of the year, those goals are distributed to my direct management, right? And then, so I have about 7 direct reports, right? And then they take those goals. For example, engineering has its own goals, product has its own goals, etc., right? And then they actually take it to their team, and then actually they meet amongst their peers also to enable those goals to get done. So that's kind of how things have been working so far. But then we also have weekly cadence meetings to go over how we're doing around those goals, right, and around those metrics that we've created at the beginning of the year. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward, nothing too fancy. Lots of one-on-ones, lots of peer conversations. Unfortunately, these days, lots of Zoom calls.
Yeah.
But prior to that, we were in the office. But we're looking forward to going back into the office. We've started slowly trickling in.
Yeah. I imagine a lot of people are starting to miss it. Yeah, we've always been, a couple days a week, even before and after. So, yeah, I think that's the way to go. So 7 people, you manage them, and then they kind of work with their own team as kind of managers. Do you have any suggestions maybe on how to hire, those kind of higher level management? So I know, sometimes it's easier where there is a lot more than just the experience that goes into that kind of factor. What do you look for, and how are you typically finding those? Is that mostly internally?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It depends on the size of your company, right? So, really, if you are at a specific ARR number, you may not need to go after an executive search agency and then like a Heidrick, and then have them hire a top end person, right? But if you are at a 10 ARR and then trying to get to the next level, which is the 25 ARR, you may want to actually spend that kind of money, right? Because you want the person to, that has experience in doing so. So it really depends on where you are as a company, on how you want to do that search. So initially, of course, I grew the company by hiring on my own, right? But now we're actually leveraging some of these more advanced search agencies to do the exec level hiring for us.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. Once you're bigger, the money helps, and I guess you can makes that decision a lot easier. You mentioned in the past you're making SaaS more human. What exactly does that mean to you, and why is that important? And why should other maybe founders think about that as well?
Yeah, at the end of the day, for me, SaaS is just a way to run the business. But unless I'm able to help my end user personas, in this case, the field personnel, right? I'm not doing anything. So, I'm not making a positive impact, right? So for me, that is the key, and that is the human side of it. Like, for example, this is my favorite story. I keep saying this over and over again, but I was driving around with one of the operators using our software, and he was telling me, look, I don't have to open up my laptop at the end of the day and sit there in front of the TV doing my work, anymore. I can take my kid who loves baseball to baseball games, right? Because I'm done at 5. I get to go back home, right? My wife is not mad at me anymore, right? So, I'm actually, very proud to be making such a positive impact in someone's life, right? And that is the human side of it, and we'll continue to do so. That's where our passions are.
Love it. So it's not just about the money and how you're kind of optimizing your returns. It's like, okay, this is the real impact we're seeing, and how it actually affects the human on their actually day-to-day basis. Yeah,
exactly.
Shiva, love these kind of questions. I want to switch gears to more kind of the personal and more rapid fire questions, but obviously take as much time as you need. Starting with, what's one piece of advice you wish you had known and would tell your 25-year-old self?
Oh boy, I wish I had a better mentor at that stage, right? I used to work for someone who was an entrepreneur, but was building stuff at a smaller scale. But if I had known, if I had a mentor that I was working for that was building things at a larger scale, that would have definitely helped me, because that's the learning that I had to do in the last 10 years on my own.
Got it. So it's not just finding somebody who's also maybe side by side and wanting to do something similar at the stage you're at. Maybe finding somebody who's 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of you, so right ahead. That'll kind of cut the learning curve and help you learn a lot quicker, right?
Absolutely. For me, it was always the mentor.
Yeah. What are the biggest challenges you're currently facing in order to continue to grow your platform? Meaning, what's keeping you up at night these days, other than oil and gas prices?
Yeah, it's. I would say we're definitely very interested in finding adjacent marketplaces. Adjacent industries. So identifying which one to go after next is what's keeping me up at night. But I'm sure we'll be able to do so. It's just a matter of time. But yeah, that's the one thing.
Nice. Who or what are 3 best resources? They can be books, it can be people like mentors or people you follow in the space who you'd say have been the most instrumental to your success over these last few years?
I watch a lot of Simon Sinek,
Nice.
So that's definitely helped me. He's been inspiring, right? Of course, I do have a great board member. He's ex-CEO of SAP, Klaus Bessier. He's been a great mentor to me. So yeah, these have been a couple of things that I've been doing over the last few years.
Any favorite books from Simon, or?
I actually was fortunate to meet the Bill McDermott, who actually ran SAP for a long time. He's no longer the CEO of SAP. So I've read his book, and that was pretty inspirational too.
Cool.
But yeah.
Awesome. Shiva, you've obviously had some quite a bit of success here over these last few years. But what does success mean to you today? Whether that's personally, financially, business, life, there's no right answer.
Yeah, for me, if I'm actually able to increase the way that I'm affecting the day in the life of a operator in the field, it doesn't have to be oil and gas. It could be anywhere else, but positively, right? If I'm able to save them an hour, 2.5, 3 hours, 4, that would be pretty darn exciting. Because, to me, if I'm actually able to save them 4 hours in a day, that means I've done something so good, right? For, whoever I'm actually doing this for, right? So that's the future. That's where I'm actually headed towards, right? I do want to end up, having made such a large transformation in the life of a field operator. When I'm done with this, I want to look back and see that, wow, I did that, right? So that would be inspirational. Yeah,
that's your definition of success. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. This has been great, Shiva. I really appreciate you jumping on SaaS District Show. Where can our founders get in touch with you to learn more about you or Seven Lake Technologies?
Yeah, email shiva@sevenlakes.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn, pretty active there. So look me up. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you jumping on here today. It was great.
Thank you, Akil. Awesome
right,
talking to you. Yeah. Take care.
Thank you all for watching this episode and joining SaaS District today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for future episodes where we interview top leaders in the SaaS industry. If you're a SaaS company looking to grow and unlock the true value of your business, get in touch with us at Horizon Capital, and myself or one of our consultants will provide a free assessment to help you get there and hit your goals. If you have any feedback or suggestions for this podcast, please comment down below and help us improve our content for you all. Thanks again, and see you on the next one.